Welcome to the Mindful Healers podcast with
Dr. Jessie Mahoney
and Dr. Ni-Cheng Liang.
We are here to help you learn to pause and be present, awaken your breath, and harness the ripple effects of mindfulness for radiant health.
We get you. We know you. We are you.
We have both been successful on the surface, yet struggling underneath. We have both had cluttered brains, been overwhelmed, and exhausted.
We're healers who have found solutions and want to share them with you.
Join us here to discover a better way.
Welcome to today's episode, Kindness is the Answer. A reminder that this podcast is not medical advice. The intention of today's episode is to invite an attitude of kindness towards ourselves and others, especially in this time of suffering.
We hope you will discover that kindness in and of itself is a form of success. You are worth the same kindness you give to others. Kindness can be a gift from you to you, and kindness creates possibility all around.
The takeaways for this episode are that your innate kindness is accessible to you anytime, any minute, and that kindness towards yourself, in turn, ripples out kindness for others. I wanted to start out this podcast episode with the definitions of kindness according to various dictionary sources. So, for instance, the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines it as a state of being of a sympathetic or helpful nature. There's a gentleness to it, or to give pleasure or relief. Another definition that came up was the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. And kindness.org defines it as a meta value that encompasses acts of altruism, empathy, justice, respect, and more. It is always an action, often done with the intention to benefit, and sometimes, but not always, driven by emotion. Reminding everyone that our brains are hardwired to hold on to negative circumstances and emotions a lot more than positive events, because this was historically, evolutionarily advantageous for us as a species. Those who were on higher alert towards dangers that could threaten their lives would have more time to prepare and therefore escape that particular threat, potentially saving their own lives. In the 21st century, in the day and age of the pandemic that we're living in, that we're witnessing, yet another wave of COVID-19 causing suffering from a myriad of reasons is one of our largest threats as a species. And so how one lives during this day and age might be different than others. And that difference, for instance, to name them out loud right now, masking, vaccination, and physical distancing choices, which are scientifically proven ways to help prevent infection, have been interpreted in a mixture of ways that is contributing to conflict and unkindness, as exemplified by rapid rates of infection, suffering, judgment, anger, fear, violence, and even death in far too many cases. But, and that's a big but, being a pulmonologist on the front lines of the pandemic, when I actually pause and think about and notice everything that I've witnessed and lived through thus far, the fact is that kindness still abounds. To give you some concrete examples, I've never been asked the question of how are you really doing by my patients. Even just that simple act of reciprocal curiosity of another human being's well-being can be a profound act of kindness, as I've experienced. I've also never been thanked as much for doing my job as a physician than in the last year and a half. And so I invite you to pause and see if these two examples might be true for you as well. And to be honest, my ability to choose kindness because of the mixture of interpretations of mandates and recommendations has definitely been tested, especially when I am witness to displays of selfish entitlement that are not kind to the particular person displaying them or to anyone else they might encounter. And in those situations, I remind myself that it is even more paramount to be kind in ways that are kind to me and the other patients that I care for. It's when there is a clear delineation of boundaries, such as strict adherence to masking inside my clinic, which is full of an at-risk population already, because by nature, as a pulmonologist, most of my patients have chronic lung disease, or saying no to a non-medically justifiable mask or vaccination exemption request. Setting boundaries and doing what's right for the patient, for me, and really for humanity can be kind, even if the recipient is dissatisfied or angry. So, the COVID-19 pandemic can be a radical opportunity, especially for us as healers, to choose kindness as an intention, perhaps giving yourself permission to therefore let go of the results of that choosing of kindness. And if you think about it, as healthcare professionals, our occupations are filled every day that we show up as ourselves as healers with opportunities to be kind. And reflecting on your care for others thus far, you likely have been more kind than not. So I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge that as healers, we can be a wellspring of kindness, especially for others, and perhaps not as much for ourselves. And so I ask the question now, can the COVID-19 pandemic be an opportunity for all of us to be kinder to ourselves?
And with that, I want to pivot to talking about being kind to yourself. As healers, as you talked about in so many ways, we are experts at being kind to others. And the definition of kindness that you shared, kindness is helpful, really gets at that idea. That is, healers, we tend to be exceptionally kind and giving humans, but rarely do we take the time to be exceptionally giving and kind to ourselves. And you also mentioned in your definition of kindness that kindness is relief. And I have found that when we offer kindness to ourselves, it is a form of relief. We often wait for others to be kind and use that as a way to validate our own self-worth or a measure of what people think of us. And yet we have this chance to be kind to ourselves and offer ourselves relief. And kindness to ourselves can also be helpful. And I like to talk about kindness to yourself as a possibility, and realizing that when we come from a place of kindness, we're actually often much more productive, efficient, and happy and healthy than we are when we push ourselves. So many high achieving people, we push ourselves not from a place of kindness, but from a place of not enoughness, or if we stop pushing and being mean and unkind, that we don't know something bad might happen. And so dousing ourselves with kindness to ourselves, an act of kindness for yourself, to yourself, can be really, really powerful. One other thing that you mentioned was hope. And I think kindness to ourselves and to others is hope. It's a reflection of hope. And just a bit of a twist on how to think about kindness. And what if showing up kind to yourself and to others is a reflection of hope? I wanted to share a reflection on kindness as possibility that is taken from my blog. From a place of kindness to self, so much more is possible. When we see possibilities, so much more is possible. May we all live a life filled with kindness and compassion to ourselves. It's so much better than being mean to ourselves. It's more kind. And it almost always leads to even more efficiency and productivity. Being kind usually involves less wasted time and less wasted energy. When we are our own inner allies instead of our own inner enemies, as Shauna Shapiro refers to in one of my favorite books, Good Morning, I Love You, things turn out much better. Yet being our own ally is not our habitual approach. It is worth working on. Being your own ally and no longer being mean to yourself or hard on yourself changes everything. Those of you who have done yoga with me have heard me invite you to think of something about yourself you would not want to change. I encourage you to try this practice daily and write it down. It's a way to be kind to yourself, to see things about yourself that you like. What if you practiced being kind to yourself? Your relationship with yourself is your most important relationship. It impacts all of your other relationships. Can you nurture it? Can you grow it? And can you heal it? Just like being kind to others creates possibilities, so does being kind to yourself. So I know that being kind to ourselves often feels quite uncomfortable to many. What might happen if we're kind to ourselves? Might we be lazy if we're kind to ourselves? Might we be selfish? But what if being kind to yourself is really truly the ultimate kindness? It's something that is in our control. And kindness to yourself, just like compassion, releases oxytocin. And oxytocin is a healing, feel-good hormone. And with more of that, we tend to learn and grow and connect better with others. So being kind to ourselves for many of us is hard. It's foreign territory. And for many people I work with, we often talk about self-compassion, jumping right to self-compassion or self-love. And I find that most of us who are human, particularly high achievers, we have to start where we are. And starting where we are often starts with not being mean to yourself and noticing when you're mean to yourself. And from there, you can get to a place of self-acceptance, and then perhaps to grace for being human, and then perhaps to kindness. And beyond kindness is self-compassion and love. And so what if you started wherever on this trajectory that you are? If you are being mean to yourself, could you stop? Could you begin to accept yourself? Could you begin to offer yourself grace? And could you begin to be kind to yourself and be as kind to yourself, perhaps, as you are to others? So a framework that I like to offer as you're beginning this journey is to notice when you're unkind, realizing that we can't change things we don't see. And we're often unkind overtly, but also covertly. We're unkind in the way that we set up our lives. We're unkind in not allowing ourselves time to rest. We're often unkind when we look at ourselves in the mirror. We're often unkind by actually not decluttering and living in the midst of a bunch of stuff or a bunch of reminders. Your desk may be set up in an unkind way. Your house may be set up in an unkind way. So to think and notice and be aware of where you're being unkind overtly and covertly. And then back once again to curiosity. Who would you be, or who could you be if you stopped being unkind to yourself? And how could you start being kind to yourself? Once again, starting from a place of wherever you may be today. Could you be a little less unkind? Could you bring in a layer of kindness? Could you ask yourself, what would kindness do? Or when you're stuck and in a difficult spot, could you treat yourself the way that you would recommend someone else treated themselves? What would you tell a friend or a colleague if they were in the same situation? Most of us are very kind to others and very helpful to others. And provide relief to others, but what if we offered that same kindness to ourselves? And then perhaps not waiting for others to do kind things for you would be the next level, moving towards more and more kindness for yourself. What kind of acts of kindness could you show for yourself? Could you buy yourself flowers at the grocery store? Could you spend some time alone? Would walking in nature be kind? Would sitting peacefully reading a book be kind? How could you do something kind for yourself for 5 to 30 minutes a day? Realizing that we all can probably make 5 minutes somewhere to be kind to ourselves. And what you practice grows. So any little act of kindness towards yourself will hopefully lead to more and more acts of kindness to yourself. And when we are full of kindness, it's so much easier to show kindness towards the rest of the world. And then circling back to curiosity, when you are kind to yourself, what happens? Noticing that our brain, which likes to go to negativity bias, we often think we will be more lazy or nothing good will happen. But when you're kind, perhaps are you more productive or more efficient? Do more things feel and seem possible? Kindness is a very expansive and loving energy. And when you offer that to yourself, it can lead to incredible things that you didn't think were possible.
So as we close our podcast today, we offer up some reflection questions. And I want to just point out that so many questions have already been asked, which really gets to the point that kindness for yourself is personal. And so we invite you to explore that. Explore all of these questions for yourself, particularly when you encounter difficult circumstances. Thinking back to our prior episodes, what would kindness do?
What might happen if you chose to be kind to yourself instead of unkind? Could you be as kind to yourself as you are to others?
And what would life be like if you chose to always be kind to yourself?
Could you start with just one kind thing that you could do for yourself today?
And what if you committed to doing one random act of kindness for someone else? Perhaps an act of kindness for yourself is protecting time and energy to learn the skill of mindfulness in an in-depth way. I'll be teaching the foundational mindfulness-based stress reduction course with Dr. Karen Schiff starting September 19th. Please check out awakenbreath.org for more information on registering.
Perhaps kindness for yourself would be to join me for yoga as a 1-hour act of kindness. Classes are offered most Saturdays. Kindness to yourself might look like coaching to learn how to be kind to yourself and to notice and work on no longer being unkind to yourself. So many possibilities are ahead.
And as always, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share, follow, leave us stars and reviews. We thank you. Please stay on after the sound of the bell for our mindful moment offering.
As always, if you want to declutter your mind, be more present, and start truly living your one wild and precious life, come find us at the mindfulhealerspodcast.com.
Work with one of us.
Work with both of us.
Start or uplevel your mindfulness practice.
Discover how mindful coaching can change your life.
Or even better, do both as part of our Mindful Healers programs and retreats. You can find links to find out more about our programs and join our communities at themindfulhealerspodcast.com.
Reach out and get started on your journey to a life better lived today.
The content of this podcast is not meant to be medical or life advice. If you choose to participate in our mindful moments, please do so safely. Welcome to this mindful moment. If it's safe for you to do so, I invite you to sit in a position of comfort and close your eyes or lower your gaze a few inches in front of you. I'm going to also invite you to place both of your palms atop your heart and to gently notice the sensations of directly applying just a bit of gentle pressure atop your heart with the palms. Simply noticing the felt sensation of doing that. And this simple gesture also releases oxytocin. So, this gesture in and of itself can be an act of kindness for you. Inviting you to conjure up the image or the felt presence of a loved one. This loved one could be a child, a parent, a partner, a friend, someone that you have unconditional love for. And wishing these loving and kind intentions to your loved one, repeating to yourself, may you be kind. Actually, I'm going to pause right there. Can Mary like splice? Mary, can you cut out may I be kind and start right here? May you be well. May you find peace. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you be well. May you find peace. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. And allowing the felt presence or the conjured image of your loved one to drift into the background. Bringing up an image of you or your own felt presence of yourself and wishing those same loving and kind intentions for yourself. May I be well. May I find peace. May I be happy. May I be free from harm. May I be well. May I find peace. May I be happy. May I be free from harm. And expanding those loving, kind intentions to encompass kind of like a gossamer shroud that extends to all of the beings that are in the current home or building that you're residing in or that you're currently at right now. And wishing to all of the building's occupants the same loving and kind intentions. May you be well. May you find peace. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you be well. May you find peace. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. And spreading that gossamer shroud of loving and kind intentions atop over your neighborhood, city, county, the state. So allowing the loving and kind intentions to spread out exponentially. This time, including yourself. as a resident in this expansive space that you're imagining this gossamer shroud to cover. And wishing those same loving and kind intentions for all of us. May we be well. May we find peace. May we be happy. May we be free from harm. May we be well. May we find peace. May we be happy. May we be free from harm. And expanding even further beyond, perhaps conjuring up an image of a satellite picture of the Earth. Surrounding the Earth with this gossamer of loving and kind intentions. Wishing all beings of the Earth the same loving and kind intentions. May we be well. May we find peace. May we be happy. May we be free from harm. May we be well. May we find peace. May we be happy. May we be free from harm. And then coming back to the felt sense of self in this moment, perhaps leaving those loving and kind intentions there, just as you had wished them out. Into the universe. Coming back into this present moment for yourself. Noticing what's here for you now. After radiating out exponentially those loving and kind intentions for more and more beings, including yourself. And coming back to the sensations of pressing your palms into your chest, atop your heart. Pausing now to notice any emotions that are here for you, any body sensations. And as you're ready, inviting you to bring your hands down into a comfortable position atop your lap. Blinking open eyes, letting the light back in. Thank you so much for practicing this loving kindness practice for the world.